Welcome out to our tackle trading video here presented by Tim Justice, Coach T over at TackleTrading.com. I'd like to welcome you back. It's another edition of the Morning Mailbag, video edition. And we had a question coming in, and I thought I'd answer it in a video. Would be the best way for me to get down to it. Number one, George Tyner sent me a question. He's a longtime student of mine. George, thank you for the Q&A. I appreciate any input over here at TackleTrading.com. He says, hey Tim, I was not sure how to properly post this email on your YouTube channel. Well, you can't, so it's good that you contacted me directly. I would also say you could always hit me up on Twitter through direct message. I don't know if you guys use that or not, and at Tackle Trading, or you can send Tackle Trading an email at team@TackleTrading.com. If you're a member of Tackle Trading, you can use the clubhouse, and post your question in there as well. George Tyner's question, he says, during the last couple of sessions, you went over how to click on the bid ask to create a very neat covered call. And let me make sure I'm getting all of this here, George. Is there also a way to add a target entry and stop within this neat covered call? Well, let me kind of describe what we're talking about here with George and what George is referencing. Inside ThinkOrSwim, you can go in there and you can develop a covered call order without having to do the legs independently. See, there are a lot of different ways to get into a trade. Okay, number one is you could just simply buy the stock. Let's go find a stock together and see if we can find one. We're going to go out to, why don't we use the scouting report at Tackle Trading? Those of you who are pro members, you should be taking advantage of the scouting report. It's where you get your pro picks. I'm going to go back here to January 3rd. Actually, why don't we do the 10th? Yeah, that's more recent. Let's do January 10th. Today's January 13th, so a few days into that. Let's find one from the Bulls team. So Gino picked K-Max, CTAS, and LB. Let's go look at the chart on all these. KMX, CarMax.com. Good and bullish, behind the earnings, pullback, stable, $65 company. And CTAS, good and bullish after earnings, gap out, pullback, $77 company. And I think it was LB, the last one. So if we take the three stocks from the Bulls team, all of them look strong and bullish. That's why they're on the Bulls team. I know the market had a pullback. If you're a short-term swing trader, you probably got hit by that on your bullish trades. But if you're a covered call trader, somebody who's doing something a little bit, more stable, I actually like this Cintas Corp right here. Not a bad pattern. When you gap out like this, hit a high, bullish retracement in the direction of the gap on the earnings with volume. Got a good trigger in here. This is how you're going to play it. Now, let me describe what a covered call is. A covered call is when you buy the stock and sell a call option on the same stock at the same time. Now, remember what I've always said. If you don't know how to do something, practice it. Okay? Trade what you know, practice what you don't. You should never do something live that you've not done in practice effectively and profitably. You need to prove your concept. So let's go in here and let's do a practice trade on Cintas. Let me lock in my ThinkOrSwim buttons here, make it a little bit easier to use. I'm going to go to the trade tab. If I bought the stock was at $77.51, and I just paid, say, a limit price at $77.51 for 100 shares. Well, that would just get me in the stock. It would not be a covered call. I'm doing this video in the evening on Tuesday evening, for tomorrow's Wednesday morning mailbag. I'm going to have it out on the site for you guys to read when you wake up. Well, I mean, that doesn't really effectively get my covered call, does it? Well, okay, what if I take the January out of the money option? There's no bid. Can't use the 3-day January. All right, well, what if I take the February out of the money option, 90 by 120, there's a 30-cent gap in here. It's 38 days. It's right in the pocket, following our playbook. Click on the bid price. Well, wait, now there's only an option. I'm missing a step. See, if you click on the asking price and you create a stock, or actually right-click, I should say, on the call you want to sell, and then you do what's called a buy covered, okay? I'm going to repeat that. Buy covered. what you'll notice is the value or the cost of your option, your covered call, is now reflective of you buying stock and selling calls. You have to think about what you're paying, what you're willing to pay, and what you need to have coming back from you for the call. So if I'm paying $77.50 and I want $1.05 back, I'm probably going to offer $76.45. Now I know I changed that a penny. It wouldn't have mattered too much, but I wanted to do it on a nickel. Unless they're penny options that I'm trading individually, I usually do any combo spread on a nickel or a dime increment. Now limit day order, this would get me into the covered call. This is a covered stock order. Now what George is asking is, how do I add something else to that? Well, instead of the target, which you have to kind of dynamically manage, maybe we can do some of that later in a different video. What I'll do is I'll actually just do what's called a first triggers all. Okay? And I'm going to have that create an opposite order where I now set this as a stop, or even better would be a stop limit, but I'm going to keep it simple for those of you who are watching the video and thinking about this for the first time. And what if I go over to the chart and say, based on that chart, I'm willing to take $2 risk, $200. Okay, well in my order form, if I pay $76.45, my $200 risk would be at $74.45. Now let's stop for a second. Let's think about this. $74.45 is way down here, right? But my stop will actually be here, because in the combo order, it's a reflection of both positions combined together at the same time. This is not just the stock price. So this $74.45 number is not whatever number is matched up over here on your chart. It's what the value of your chart is minus the value of your call. So you have to be able to think about that part of it. Again, trade what you know, practice what you don't. If you knew at covered calls you don't know how to send that order off, this is a good way to do it. All right, there you go, George. That should work. Now, I personally, when I trade covered calls, I don't set necessarily that kind of stop. I usually do it a little bit more dynamically by either setting up a hedge if I'm concerned about it. Usually a covered call position, I'm not too worried about micromanaging personally. I think about them, put them in a different column mentally. For me, they're more passively managed, and I watch the overall delta and I roll the calls around and try to protect it that way. But if you do want to stop on your covered call, what we just did with Cintas is a way for you to execute that. Okay, guys, that's it for this video here at TackleTrading.com. My name is Coach Tim Justice, and as always, catch us back on the Morning Mailbag. If you want your questions answered, priority always goes to pro members and those who are using the Clubhouse. If you email me a really good question individually, that's great, but I want to support those who are putting their ideas out there in the universe with the team. You know, one of the things we're doing over there at Tackle Trading is we're trying to create a team environment. So be willing to kind of throw your hat in the ring. Maybe somebody else, like if I don't get to one of the answers, maybe somebody else in the team can. You know, that's where that Clubhouse is invaluable. Okay, guys, we'll see you down the road. Take care and good luck. Get in the game.
Get off the sidelines and take control of your financial future at www.TackleTrading.com. Get in the game.